So here we are with 2:14 marathoner, owner of Hansons Coaching Services, Luke Humphrey, and we're just 3 weeks out from the Olympic marathon trials. But before we go into that, let's talk about some of your roots first, because unlike most of the people on the Hansons team, besides Clint, you're the only born and raised native Michigander, and you're from the small town of Sidney, Michigan.
Yeah.
And you ran for Central Michigan University before joining Hansons. So tell us a little bit about that progression from high school to college to where you're at now.
Yeah, I mean, Sidney's a really small town, and Central Montcalm is the high school I went to, which is made up of a bunch of small towns in the area. So I guess I was kind of a big fish in a small pond there, because I was good there, but like on the grand scheme of things, I was pretty average. I mean, I only ran 10:02 in the 3200. I was actually more kind of speed guy in high school. I mean, I ran sub 2.5. I mean, like I think open ran like 157, and I ran the 400 and pretty much anything I was asked to do. I walked down to Central Michigan, and then I ran pretty well first year there, and then actually made a junior team this summer of going between my freshman and sophomore year in college. So that got me a book loan, which meant I got books, but then I had to return them after the semester, and then eventually worked up to a pretty decent scholarship towards the end of my college career. I just knew that the further I ran, the better I got, and luckily, when I was just leaving Central Michigan, Richie Brinker was with Hansons, and he ran at Central and ran for Hansons, and he got me in touch with Kevin and Keith, and then August 2004 I moved to Rochester, Michigan, and that's where I've been ever since.
All right, so you started off at Hansons. First couple years you ran 2:15 at Boston, 2:15 at Chicago, and you've placed really consistently in the top 20 at every major marathon that you've run. But most recently this year, you were able to lower your PR in the half marathon to a sub 104, and you also ran a 2:14 marathon. So tell us a little bit about some of the factors that you think went into that improvement.
I think especially after maybe New York a couple of years ago, I had a pretty subpar race, even though I was 11th there. I really thought I would run a lot better time-wise, but kind of that stretch of time, I think I got a little too big for myself. I kept trying to hit the home run ball instead of just trying to knock time off consistently, like I'd been doing before then. And I think this probably Chicago, even 2010, was a good step back in that direction, even though I didn't quite PR. Ran 2:15 again. It was pretty warm that day, and then I just kind of got back to that, where I was just not trying to take 5 minutes off. I was just trying to run what I was capable of, and letting the chips fall where they may. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is I wasn't trying to knock it out of the park anymore, just nice and steady.
So your main training partner, besides all the rest of us on the team, the guy that really pushes you out the door right now is Mike Morgan, who's also a 2:14 marathoner. What kind of mileage have you guys been putting in, and how fast are you going in workouts?
We're about 140 the last couple of weeks, so we've probably been 130 to 140 for a good 6 to 8 weeks now. I think Mike's a little bit ahead of me as far as development right now, just because he ran the World Championships, and he was done in September, so he's been able to run a couple more weeks than I have. Whereas I took downtime in October for my wedding and everything, and so I think he's up on me a little bit there. But I mean, the workouts we've been doing for a couple of years now, but it's one of those things where we've talked about on runs. I strongly feel like there's a huge difference between surviving workouts and running workouts, and I think maybe a year ago when we started doing these 5:02 pace type workouts, it was really just we were able to do them, but we weren't able to recover from them. And I think now can do them and recover from them, and that makes a huge difference. But I think you know, Mike's a guy that, you know, him and I we train together and we're training for the same thing. But I think we still handle things a little differently. I think Mike's a guy who can go out and run pretty hard every day, whereas I kind of need to back off certain days.
Definitely. So we've heard Ryan Hall's predictions about what he thinks it'll take time-wise to be in the top 3 in Houston and make the Olympic team. What kind of time do you think it'll take?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, you heard the same thing in 2007, where this is the best field ever assembled, and it's going to take, you know, 2:02 to make the team or whatever. And I don't know, man. It seems like it's the same thing every time. I mean, Greg Meyer put it best, man. You always get 10 guys that are ready to run, and 3 that actually run well on a certain day. So I don't know. It might take sub 2:10. It might take 3 2:09s to make the team, but I don't see where historically 2:11 makes the team too. So it's hard to say. Obviously the talent is there, and I'm not diminishing the talent at all. I do think talent-wise we're at a very high level in the U.S. right now, but it's a championship race, and you have no idea what's going to happen.
So you're also a soon-to-be published author. Let's tell us a little bit about your book project.
I had kind of thrown out the idea of how marketable a book about the actual Hanson training, not the team, but more just like the schedules, you know, the whole 16-miler thing and all that good stuff. You know, it was kind of weird because like within a few weeks, actually, Keith had gotten an email from VeloPress about it, and you know, with Kevin and Keith I already have a ton of stuff to do, and basically gave me the opportunity. You know, they said if you want to do it, you know, we'll back you on it, and we'll go from there. So I think we started writing in May, and final copy is being edited right now. Final draft is probably be out sometime next year. I'm not even sure what the published date was going to end up being, but yeah, pretty excited to see how it goes. Kevin Keith had a lot of input on it, and we get a ton of emails about, you know, the details of the program and stuff. So it just seemed like the next logical step would be to go from a Runner's World article to a full book. Why not?
Yeah. So for those of you watching the trials, keep your eyes out for Luke. It's hard to miss the bright colors of the Hansons Brooks jerseys. Well, thanks for your time, and best of luck in Houston. I guess it's time for us to go out on our second run.
Yeah, second run. Another 6-miler.